I'm a director with the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a director with the GRATC, as well as the CEO and founder of Unico Biz Solutions, Unico Enterprises. So thank you so much for joining our webinar. We're waiting for a few more people to log in. Looks like the attendee list is increasing, so that's a good thing. Real quick housekeeping tips. We have actually a very special guest today as well. So we're gonna be focusing on that. But in addition to that, any questions that you have, we're gonna go ahead and address right after our guest speaker finishes his presentation. But at the end of the webinar, we'll also have some additional Q&A session going on so that we can go ahead and address some questions that you may have for any of our participants on the panel. So let's go ahead and get to the next slide, Memo. Okay, so just real quick, I always like to do a quick overview of what our objectives are. As we're having these webinars, we want to educate, we want to provide resources, we want to exchange ideas. So please be sure to put your questions in on the chat boxes. That typically induces a lot of us to think and have ideas that can come up, right? So please make sure you engage with us on that. And finally, we want to be able to provide solutions for you guys, right? We want to be able to provide solutions, whether it's through our panelists that are on, or simply us as a company with the resources that we have available to you, where we definitely want to make sure that we address things. Next slide, please. So we started a coronavirus creed. We must not keep fishing in the same dry pond. We must not quit. We must reinvent ourselves. We must double down on marketing. And in good times, people want to advertise. In bad times, people have to. So this is our creed. I think it's meant to be motivational. We want to make sure that we continue to reinvent ourselves and not get down on this current environment, but continue to thrive forward. Okay. So on our agenda today, like I said, Tammy, always here to help motivate us in health and wellness. Our guest speaker, California Workforce Development, Dr. Angelo Farouk, Chairman of the California Workforce Development Board. Very happy to have him here today with us. Business owner highlight, Mr. Alfonso Corona, CEO and founder of El Pollo Norteño, is here to highlight his business. Another great partner of ours from our chamber highlights, Edward Ornelas with the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce, is also going to be on. In addition to that, Oscar from the CHCC Foundation, colleague board director from the State Chamber, is going to be giving some of the updates on the CARE Act as well. Alternative Lending, one of our business development consultants and partner as well, George Paniagua, is going to be talking about options that and how alternative lending is going to be playing a part into this current environment. And then finally, we have Tony Martinez from Latino Tax Pro, always an awesome collaborator to whatever we're doing. So he'll be coming on as well. So first and foremost, let's get Tammy on here and talk to us about this week's point.
This week's point, you're right, Sal. I am Tammy, plant-based health enthusiast, and also president of Black Chamber of Commerce. I can keep listing some titles, but you know that's not going to make a difference right now. What's going to make a difference is us getting excited, us staying excited, and just getting ramped up. Because in order for us to get things accomplished, we must remain, excited, and we have to put forth some energy. So just to give I am going to be talking about mental health, but I always like to just go back and talk about what we've been talking about since this is our fifth module. But first of all, we talked about maintaining the routine. Then we went in to talk about the diet of how to remain healthy and happy during the COVID-19. We also talked about exercise, how important that is. Last week, we talked about social interactions, and today we're going to talk about a little mental health. So here's what I do want to say. I am not a therapist, but I am a plant-based enthusiast, and I do know a little bit something about health. So listen, we know that during this COVID-19 that it's turning things upside down. And one of the things that is turning upside down are some people or what, you know, we go through this transition. And I always say, know thyself. Know who you are, because we deal with stress. You got good stress and you got bad stress. Well, let's talk about this stress that can cause problems. Now, I took a little note so I could stay on point, and Sal don't end up kicking me off. Right, Sal? Yes. So let's talk about, you guys, because we're so bogged down with our business and we just forget health is extremely important. Okay, it's important. Health comes first because you can't do anything without it. So the things that can become stressful or what stress in this COVID-19 can produce is, number one, fear. We talk about that a lot. We're so in fear about our health. We're in fear of other people's health. Am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? So it is definitely a fear. Okay. Another thing that this stress can cause is sleeping problems. Some of us aren't going to bed until 5 o'clock. Some of us are going to bed at 2 o'clock in the day. Some of us are just not sleeping at our normal patterns. Another thing that this stress can cause is difficulty in concentrating, because, you know, we get off pace. We want to do the work and then we can't really think about doing it. And then we're like, oh my God, I'm so confused. And the sad part is some of us who already have chronic conditions or already have high blood pressure and all this, the stress can worsen that. So, and if you do have mental health conditions, that can also come under attack too. That can also worsen due to this COVID-19. And last but not least, some of us tend to increase our alcohol content, and some of us can even increase drug activity. So those are like some of the things that this stress can cause us. Now, on the flip side, well, not quite the flip side yet, but what I want to say is this: the way everyone reacts is going to be different depending on your background, how you grew up, and also your community. So you can't judge one thing and say, oh, I didn't go through that. I went through this. Why are you going through this? So everybody deals with it differently. But we're going to talk about real quick, and Sal, give me about 2 or 3 more minutes. You're going to let me wrap this up? Yes.
Thank you. Go for it.
But the most important thing is, I say, in order to help you alleviate some stress, number one, start taking care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Start taking note. I'm not feeling good today. What am I going to do? What am I going to do to make myself feel better? Okay. So, and then also try taking care of others. It takes our mind off of the building, dooming stress that we put ourselves under. And so another couple other things, ways that we can cope. We need to take a break. Take a break from watching, reading about this coronavirus on social media, everywhere. Just take a break from it. Just close it off, because too much, it just heightens. We just want to think, oh, what they saying now? Okay, or we got to go buy this, we got to go buy that. Okay. So take a break from it. Hearing about it can just make you just increase your stress levels. Another thing, take deep breaths. Stress, exercise. I can't say it enough. Get out and exercise. Start with 15, 20 minutes a day. Take it up to about a good hour, sometimes even an hour and a half. Go run, go walk, get aerobics thing. Please exercise, reduces the level of stress. And then eat healthy. I talked about that in one of the modules. Put more fruit and vegetables, decrease your animal products, decrease the junk food, decrease processed food. Get out of those lines over there, all these fast food lines. Their stock is going up, their food. And I said this, while we're doing, you guys, we're producing more stress. So we got to reduce that. And then, like I said, exercise more, get plenty of sleep, get plenty of water. And then most importantly, avoid alcohol and drugs. It's never a solution. So, but I always say this, always find a way to be happy every day. When you wake up, you try to make the choice of how your day is going to end. You say, I'm waking up today. I will be happy. I will do the things that are beneficial for my life, because my health comes first before I tackle any of these work things, before I do any of that. And you know what, Sal? I think that's it. Hopefully I've motivated some of you guys out there.
Thank you so much. I always love to hear you speak, Tammy. Always makes me puts a smile on my face. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, so up next, thank you for that, Tammy. We have a very special guest speaker, Dr. Angelo Baruch, Chairman of the California Workforce Development Board. As I said, I'm going to let him introduce himself and give you a little bit of information about himself. But just want to remind you at this point, make sure and ask some questions, put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. And before we get into the next speaker, we'll take a real quick pause to answer any questions you guys may have. So without further ado, Dr. Baruch.
Thank you, Sal. It's a pleasure to participate on this webinar with all of you, and I'm happy to be a resource however I can be supportive. So a little bit about the position itself. So I'm an appointee of Governor Newsom. I was originally appointed on this board under Governor Brown, but in this administration, I have the honor to serve as the chairman. The California Workforce Development Board's responsibility is to develop a common policy framework for the $6 billion statewide workforce system. And by virtue with us being in California, it's the largest workforce system in the country. And we have a wide spectrum of representation from business, industry, all appointed by the governor. We have our state superintendent, Tony Thurmond, who's on there, the chancellor for the California community colleges, 4 state legislative secretaries. So it's an opportunity for us to have a very comprehensive way of how we coordinate our workforce system. We also have, we fund over 200 America Job Centers throughout the state of California. And these are destinations where dislocated workers can go to get access to resources if they've lost their job, training opportunities to upskill and get better quality jobs. We kind of consider ourselves a one-stop center for all that. The board and the governor really pride local control. So typically, every county typically has its own workforce development board locally that we provide governance to. And those are typically appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And for some very large cities like Los Angeles, they have boards in addition to the county. So that's just a little bit of context about this. Some of the updates that I have, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can to be helpful. So you might have heard that Governor Newsom has recently formed a task force related to COVID-19. The governor has been very methodical about having data and science inform how we protect our residents here in California, but also that we are very deliberate and meticulous about how we open up the economy when it's the right time and in what phases and so forth. So Tom Steyer, who I'm sure all of you know, very successful businessman, he's actually been appointed as the new chief advisor on business and jobs recovery. And for those of you that have been following the administration in the past, Lenny Mendonça, who essentially played a similar role in the administration, he had to resign for personal reasons. I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, if I remember correctly. And so in essence, Tom Steyer is kind of functioning in that role right now. And the governor has formed a bipartisan task force. There's representation on both sides of the aisle in the legislature, or the prior governors themselves, wide spectrum of business leaders, that have broad representation of businesses throughout the state of California to help advise the governor on how to approach this. And I can tell you, I had a communication exchange with the governor personally on this past Sunday. And one of the points I raised with him that he was very receptive about was that we need to have more input from inland California in a voice throughout this process. So hopefully there'll be some more updates on that coming soon. Regarding unemployment, which obviously has been a huge focus in the workforce system right now, as you can imagine, our system has been overwhelmed, as the whole country has been, with the spike in unemployment. We've been in regular communication on a bi-weekly basis, pretty much, with Secretary Scalia and U.S. Department of Labor to help coordinate processing the new enhanced resources under the CARES Act. So I know one of the biggest complaints that people have been having, again, throughout the country is that they can't reach a live person to process or to answer their questions. You can process your claim without having to speak to somebody. You can do it online, but people have specific questions. Governor Newsom has been paying attention to that, obviously, and our Secretary of Labor, Julie Su. The governor has repositioned about 600 plus state employees to have expanded call center. We have over 1,300 employees now total dedicated to this. And this means expanding our hours to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And Governor Newsom was the first in the country to have such a robust opening on the call center side. And one of the new provisions of during the COVID-19 is that unemployment can be accessed for people who don't pay into unemployment insurance. This is the first time in history that's been allowed. And California is trying to have a streamlined process for those people. So, and obviously, since the audience here is business people, some of this might apply to you directly. If you happen to be self-employed, you can actually, we'll have a special website that will open up very soon on Tuesday, April 28th, just to help streamline those processing. Gig workers also, which don't typically pay into 1099 employees that don't pay into unemployment insurance, they will also be able to do that. I will say though that the people have been submitting unemployment insurance that are self-employed or gig workers through our normal process already, and we are trying to process those as well. But this new website will be more tailor-made for them. So that's an important update coming up. Our board, one of the things that we've been focusing on is we call it high road labor exchange. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of focus on the fact that people have stopped working and the unemployment rate, but it's sometimes masked the fact that there's actually are a lot of people working, and in fact, certain sectors, which is somewhat intuitive, that are deemed essential workers, they're actually in even greater demand than ever before. And so we have been, our system has been really prioritizing how can we transition workers that are non-essential to essential. We've been working a lot with some of the labor unions since they have infrastructure to help us with the training and transitioning to those workers. But again, we're trying to get everyone we can to provide support. You might have heard about the governor's launch of the Health Corps website, which has to do with getting people who are retired, medical students to enter into the workforce immediately to build more capacity for hospitals and the healthcare demands. All of that has been part of this effort. On one aspect as it relates to on the business community side is we've been helping specifically manufacturers transition production to PPE, personal protection equipment, ventilators. There's been a big emphasis on that in places like the Inland Empire, for example. So we've been, on the worker side, helping. How can we get people to be retrained for those new type of production, and how can we help manufacturers? And I know GoBiz, which is the shorthand for Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, have been helping some companies with sourcing materials. That's some of the feedback we've been getting is some of the challenges they have in making those transitions. Lastly, I'll say, and then I see a couple of questions are coming in, that you guys probably heard about the public-private partnership fund that Governor Newsom launched, $125 million that can support undocumented immigrants during the crisis. People, for some people that's controversial, but people need to understand that they're not eligible for unemployment insurance benefits or disaster relief, and they constitute, I think, up to 10% potentially of the workforce. And in some of these areas, whether it's food workers or others, they're actually critical in keeping our society going. So I hope, that that's not as much of an issue, here, but that's, I think, a really bold effort that the governor did in a time of need. So I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can. I'll start with one from Francis Clinton regarding applying for the new PPP, where and what bank. So one thing important to note is, first of all, the president is signing the new law today. So it hasn't been administered yet. But it's important to note that if you've already received funding from PPP, you are not able to seek funding again from that same program. That's number one. Number two, if you've applied for it, obviously this is opening up more resources. And the other thing I'll say is, even separate from the money that's being allocated by Congress, there's been a big push to have large publicly traded companies, institutions like Harvard and Princeton and others, to send back money, which is in the tens of millions of dollars, to businesses, small businesses that need it more. So the money is potentially even going to be larger, than just the congressional appropriation. The other thing is that there's going to be more of an emphasis on putting money aside to local community banks. So in terms of asking, which bank do you use, our anecdotal experience has been is that smaller banks are typically more responsive. The challenge I'm sure that a lot of businesses are hearing is that if you don't have an existing lending relationship with the bank, banks are obviously prioritizing based on that. Whether that's right or not, that's the way that the legislation was appropriated and administered by the SBA, that's beyond our capacity. But anecdotally, that's things I'm sure that you guys have been hearing yourselves. And then what else was I going to say about that? But definitely, and I hope people have been doing this, that even during the time that it has been dormant, the funds have been depleted, that people are still submitting information. And if the banks are requiring further documentation, submit it now, even if the program is still, will probably start kickstarting on Monday again, that you're not allowing that lag time in your submission. So that's what I would suggest. The other question regarding what does it mean as a self-employed person from unemployment, that I'm eligible but for no money. I'm not sure what it means by eligible but for no money. Generally speaking, if you are a self-employed person, you haven't been paying.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you provide your information online for whatever it is, and my understanding is even if you get $1 of unemployment insurance, if you get an unemployment benefit, that's $600 extra that everybody gets. If you qualify for unemployment, you get $600 a week if you file now through the end of July, on top of whatever you're going to get. So that $600 is not based on the amount of income you were making. That's just a flat fee on top of whatever you normally would have qualified for. And again, if you're unsure of your situation and you've tried submitting it online, just know that on April 28th, which is right around the corner, we'll have a website that will be more specific to those people, the self-employed people, the gig worker workforce, to help them process it. I hope that's helpful.
Is that website going to be addressing the questions on PPP as well, or is it strictly for unemployment?
So with PPP, the best resources is the SBA. That's all being done through the federal government, and your lenders would be knowledgeable about that as well.
Got it. Because there's a question on here also on the chat that says, some of us are incorporated and don't list ourselves as employees. How do we get help? So there's people that are incorporated, but they don't have payroll. They just do the they issue themselves a dividend or whatever the case may be, and don't put themselves on as employees. So I'm not sure if you can answer to that.
I can. So if you don't, if you didn't issue yourself a payroll, and again, this is the reality that all of us as entrepreneurs, myself included, have, is that, you know, people have to manage cash flow in different ways. And so for those people, as it relates to unemployment claims, you can, as self-employed, even if you're not formally giving yourself a payroll, you should be eligible for these unemployment benefits. And again, on Tuesday, you have,
based on what you pay yourself.
So here's the disclaimer I just want to say, because people have to understand this has never been done before in the history of unemployment in the country. We've never had a situation like this. The reason I say that is that's partially the issue, is that we've been waiting on Department of Labor to provide very specific criteria on, to answer your question, how do we determine all these things? My understanding is on Tuesday, that launch of that new website, which will be through EDD, Employment Development Department, that we will have much more specific information. To answer Marian's question about do we need to wait, you don't need to wait till the 28th. You could file through the normal unemployment channel. The challenge, the disclaimer again that I want to say is that filing for unemployment the normal way is not designed for people that are self-employed. It doesn't mean that we're not still trying to process it, but it's not, like, some of the questions won't really apply to you. And that's why you'll have to make a judgment call. If you feel like you need to submit it immediately, go ahead and do that, and we will try to process it, and we might call you for further questioning. Otherwise, if you do it on Tuesday, it'll be much more clear, and it'll be much more efficient way of processing it.
Dr. Farouk, do we have a website already, a URL, a domain name for this new website you're referring to? Is that already out? Do we have that information available?
It's not out yet, but if you go on EDD's website and you try to file an unemployment claim, it will become available through that information. That portal. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So just visit that site for the update. I'm sure they're going to have something. Yeah. Something very visible to pop up so that you're able to do that. Okay, perfect. I think we have one more question there. Sylvia, do you see that?
Yeah.
Sylvia, guys, if you can also use the Q&A box at the bottom, not the chat box, it makes it a little bit easier to control the questions. That'd be great. So you want to answer that question, Dr. Farouk?
So
my employer.
Okay, so if it's
the question is, my employee applied for unemployment back in March 20th. And it says he hasn't received, it's pending. Her son applied and he received his. What can she do?
The best thing for her to do, for that employee to do, is to call the EDD number. And like I said, the good thing now is it's 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So hopefully you should be able to reach someone easier now. But specific, because my guess is there might be some information that's unclear or disputed, or there might be something missing, and someone can walk them through that situation over the phone.
Not sure if you might have this answer or not, but what are the peak hours of the EDD so we can call off-peak hours?
You know, when you have a system where millions of people are literally filing, there isn't, I don't know if there's a conventional way of saying there's a peak hour.
There's such a thing at this point, huh? They're all.
But the important thing is that, one, you've already had a number of people already apply and already processing. Two, you know, you don't need to call to process it. And now that we have 12 hours a day, we're really hoping that the strain will be a lot less. I've been hearing from people that they're able to get through better now.
So I think there's another question by Lisa. Hi, Lisa. It says, how long is the process? I received an email that they received my application on March 31st.
March 31st for the unemployment?
Right.
So
about 25 days.
So what happens is, first of all, the governor has waived, there's normally waiting periods, and then you have to document that you've been searching for a job and all that. The governor's waived those requirements. So people can get resources. The way it works is whatever day you file, that starting that following Sunday is when they start tracking that your unemployment benefits begin, basically. And then 2 weeks after that is when you get your money, similar to the way you would get a biweekly paycheck. So again, it's the following Sunday is when it starts, and then every 2 weeks you have to certify what your situation of that 2 weeks was, and then you get paid accordingly.
Got it. So she might want to be the one to also make a follow-up call, right? Because it's already been 25 days. So
yeah, I mean, if it's been 25 days, then she definitely should call.
Yeah, she should probably follow up and call. Looks like Kathy, a lot of people filed mid-March, still haven't received funds. They can't get through the phone. I don't know what to advise them.
So if you can't get through the phone lines, which that's unfortunate, and we will keep providing that input to try to make it even more accessible to people. Part of the issue just could be is that, again, you can imagine, even if you were a private business, if you're used to a certain amount of demand for your services, and then out of nowhere, it goes up like exponentially, there's an adjustment to try to manage that level of capacity. So it could be in those instances that there's a little bit of a backlog, but I still would encourage people to keep trying to reach on the phone. We're trying. I think the governor has the biggest call center, most expanded hours anywhere in the country. We're not taking that lightly. We need to minimize that, but I would suggest to keep pushing.
Keep trying, yeah. And my son yesterday actually applied for unemployment. He works for Ralph Lauren. He's a teenager. He's getting ready for college, and I was helping him myself. We were through the entire application, and the system crashes right at the end. So basically what I told him, and I would say to all of us, we have to understand that these are unprecedented times, right? These are times that nobody has ever gone through before. And, we want to put pressure on government to perform, but I think that just keeping our, being patient, and trying to keep our sanity, like Tammy was saying, I think is very important, to our health, and just being persistent, continue to try to reach out. That's just my point of view on that.
Absolutely.
So I have one more question here. Is covering healthcare benefits considered part of payroll under PPP? I think that's a yes, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, it is. Benefits are included.
It is part of it. Absolutely. Okay, so any other panelists, if you want to unmute yourself, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask Dr. Farouk. Now is the time. George, I think you unmuted yourself.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay, well, if anybody else doesn't have any more questions, Dr. Farouk, if you can stick around, that'd be great. Towards the end, maybe somebody comes up with a question. If not, we completely understand, but we thank you so much for being part of our panel, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next panelist. So again, thank you, and hopefully at the end, we can have more questions that come up here on the queue.
My pleasure. So I have to go, but if anybody has questions, they can always you can always reach me from that way, or I'm happy to give email.
Absolutely, yeah. We have direct access to Dr. Farouk. So if you guys have any questions, put them on the chat, and or I'm not on the chat, on the Q&A, and we will definitely follow up and answer all of your questions. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, so up next is going to be our highlighted chamber partner, Edward Ornelas. Edward, if you can unmute yourself and turn on your camera so we can introduce you.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. Can you turn on your camera?
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to turn on my camera because I look like a werewolf.
Okay. It's all good. It's all good.
But how's everybody doing? So, Sal, thank you for having me in the conference. And great job at securing Dr. Angela Farouk. He's a great source of information for the business community. For all those that don't know my name is Edward Ornelas, president of the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we cover San Bernardino County and Riverside County. And we work very closely with both workforce development boards of Riverside and San Bernardino. And so I will actually be connecting with Dr. Angela Farouk offline to offer him the Chamber's platform to get across any messages or initiatives that the state wants to push to the Inland Empire region. And Sal, you're doing a great job at connecting with these folks to bring this information to the business community. So I tip my hat to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for being a partner and also reaching out to the community, always providing information that is quality. So we thank you for that. Anything you have upcoming? I know it's
so
COVID-19 time.
Yeah, so as all of us are in quarantine, so we had a lot of forums and business events on the calendar, which have now been obviously postponed. But we can't wait to hit the ground running once this quarantine is lifted. The chamber is putting some things in place so that once this quarantine is lifted, we're going to hit the ground and we're going to start connecting with the business community with the resources to help them get back on their feet. Forums, workshops, events, whatever we need to do to help streamline and push these small businesses to move forward. We can all agree that they have been hit pretty hard. I myself and the organizations that I'm involved with have been hit pretty hard. So we all need to hit the ground running once we're able to and work together. So I think that's going to, help us move forward more quickly. But in addition to that, there's a lot of coronavirus resources out there for you all to look at. We haven't been sharing too much information because there's already a lot of information out there. So we have some core resources listed on our website from both counties, Riverside and San Bernardino County. So if you operate a business in San Bernardino County, you can get core information and resources directly from that county so that you are receiving accurate, up-to-date information. And the same goes with Riverside County. We have resources available directly from the county and the Workforce Development Board. So if you operate a business in Riverside County, you know that you're getting up-to-date and credible and real information. So instead of sharing our own resources, we're working with both counties to share information from one source. So there's not so much information out there floating on the web space.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. I mean, and you're right. There's a lot of information. Sometimes it gets a little overbearing, overwhelming, coming from all kinds of different resources. So, obviously, like you guys all know, the California State Chamber is kind of the umbrella chamber to a lot of affiliate chambers like the Inland Empire Regional Chamber, the Black Chamber, all the chambers that are part of this weekly webinar. So it's our attempt to kind of bring in and unite our affiliate chambers and member chambers as well. So, Edward, thank you so much for taking the time to get on and talk a little bit about the Inland Empire Regional Chamber. And lastly, I'll just put a plug in for your business journal as well. I think that's a good resource for everybody. We should have probably put it on the slide here, but the Inland Empire Business Journal is it's a great resource also to market and advertise right now in these times, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to you, Sal, and your team over at Unico Biz Solutions. You guys have been a tremendous asset. I can't say enough how much of an asset you and your company have been to not only the Inland Empire Business Journal, but the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce as well. Again, I tip my hat off to you for that and your help with helping us with some websites, design, all that good stuff. And our logo that you guys see right now on the slide, Sal and his team designed that logo. And I love it. So yeah, so listen, we all need to work together. If anybody on this chat right now, if you want to connect with me offline, I'll drop my email in the message forum right now. If you have ideas, concerns, you want to work with me on some programs, I'm open. So, it's open door policy every day, all day.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Edward. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to our highlight business owner of this week's webinar, Mr. Alfonso Corona. He is one of our clients, but more than that, he is very active in the community, always willing to extend a hand. And I wanted him to talk a little bit about what his experience has been in this whole COVID environment and how he's adjusted to the current environment to continue to run his business and what he does for the community. Because aside from being an exceptional business owner, him and his wife, and running a great business, they are also very involved and always willing to give back. So, Alfonso, I'll let you introduce yourself and talk about El Pollo Norteño.
Hey, thank you, Sal. Thanks for the invitation and thanks for having this webinar available for everyone. My name is Alfonso Corona. We own a family-owned business. We run it between me and my wife, Karina. We have 3 kids. 2 already graduated from college, thank God, and 1 a high school junior. So we're almost there. Exciting times. Everything changed, obviously, right now, and a lot of things paused with the COVID-19. But like you said, we're adjusting. I'm also an active Rotarian, also part of 2 Chamber of Commerce, the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and also the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce. We own 4 restaurants, a food truck, and a catering business. And we applied to start selling franchises and got approved by the state. Still on the works with that, but we're excited for what the future holds for us. One of the things that I love what Tammy was saying, it's taking care of others. And that's one of the things that we like to do well, and that we do a lot as being a return as well. But we started a campaign where we're matching the customers purchase a meal for a medical provider, and we'll match that. And we got a little more than almost 200 customers that purchased a meal for medical providers. And so what we're doing, we match those meals and we deliver to local hospitals. And thanks for all the help also from Unico Media. And we've been able to run the campaigns through social media, through our website, and also being able to have an easy way for customers to help out and donate for the cause. It's been great. We went and delivered to Garden Grove Hospital. We delivered also to St. Joseph Hospital meals, and we got to find different ways to help out and to work together. And also, like Edward said, we got to work together and work different ways, find different ways of getting this thing running. And hopefully when everything clears up, that we can really hit the floor running.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I love about something I talked about in our last week's webinar was taking advantage of opportunity, but not being opportunistic, right? Not being an opportunist, right? And one of the great opportunities is to actually really unite as a community and give back, which is what you're doing, and which is basically care marketing, right? You're giving back, you're putting your name out there, and at the same time I think it's a win-win for everybody, and we all have to look at ourselves I was on another part of the Pomona Chamber as well. And one of the things that we're going to be doing for our community as well is there's some money out there for undocumented individuals that can have access to. So we're going to go through the and we're going to print out flyers and give them information, because a lot of times they're afraid to reach, right? So that's an underserved community as well that we can definitely be impactful. And so anyhow, Alfonso, if you don't have anything else to share, you know, I think you guys are a great story. You and your wife have grown a great business. I know you guys just recently franchised. So if anybody knows any post-coronavirus that wants to open a franchise with El Pollo Norteño, more than anything, they're just good people, you know, and I always try to surround myself with good individuals that have good intentions and have a proven track record, because I think we all learn, you know, we're all growing businesses. We're all learning how to do a better job at what we do and how to become better, you know, and that's, you know, El Pollo Norteño is a great example of that. So if you guys are out in the area, if you need a catering or whatever you may need, please reach out to El Pollo Norteño. Not to be confused with all the other pollos out there, because this is the best, okay? So thank you so much, Alfonso, for your time. Go ahead.
Before I forget, thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt. One of the things I wanted also to mention, it's one of the things that you talked about, how we all have to adapt. Obviously, and we're grateful that our business, our restaurant, was one of the restaurants that didn't have to close our doors. Most of our, not most, but 60% of our sales were already to-go sales before COVID-19. So we were able to adjust, obviously, a little easier than some other places through the online ordering, through our own delivery, because we've been delivering food to businesses or homes for more than 20 years. So obviously, things that we've been needing to adjust our times, the way that we operate in restaurants. Most of the things that everyone's doing right now, and a lot of the restrictions, we already had them. We had to do that by health department restrictions. And so it's been some adjustment. Obviously, the sales aren't the same sales because we rely a lot on businesses, other businesses, and also employees having their job. But we're open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you're in the area over here in Orange County, please visit us. We're in Santa Ana, Garden Grove, and Anaheim, and we've been operating for almost 40 years. We started in 1981, and thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Alfonso. I appreciate your time. So, Oscar, I'm not sure if you're still on. I know you had to jump off to get on another call. And I'm going to ask, you know, I understand you're limited with time, so I'll let you dive right in. Memo, if you can switch the slide, please. And I myself, I'm going to excuse myself. Carmen Lainez is going to take over from here. And then she'll introduce the next couple of speakers that we have, and then we'll go into Q&A. So go ahead, Oscar. I apologize and I thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you for the invitation. Just for the record, I'm not the director of the foundation. I'm a director of the program and business development with the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. So anyways, real quick, Dr. Farouk kind of expanded on the new funding. We have that money already. The platform is going to open up on Monday, hopefully, and the latest by Tuesday. So there is plenty of money that is going to be available for all of you, just to make sure you know that if you apply before for the EIDL loan or the PPP loan, your application is good, and they're going to do a follow-up on that. We don't have a way for us to help you to check on the status, but I'm going to give you 1-800 number. And the best time to call is on weekends, early in the morning. It's 1-800-659-2955. This is for the SBA, so you can check on the status of your loan. 1-800-659-2955. You have to have your control number that starts with a 3. So have that ready so they can refer that to your application. That's one. The second one, it's about the California State Guarantee Loan. It's a micro loan that goes up to $50,000. It's through the iBank, through the state of California. And this is for people that do not qualify, not that they have been denied. It's the people that do not qualify under the EIDL program nor the PPP program. Okay, so what does that mean? Those for people with credit issues, people that are non-U.S. citizens, those 501s C6 because they don't qualify under IDLE and PPP. So now there's a way. People who do not have payroll, and even if they have a delinquencies on previous federal loans. So this is a state program that you can get. There's up to $50,000 is the micro loan program through the iBank. Okay, so these loans are going to go through the financial development or agencies. So for more information, you can also go to the www.cahcc.com. That's the Chamber's website, and maybe Sal, they will put it on later on. I'm sorry I don't have enough time. I have to jump on to another call. Now, one last thing. For the PPP program, sole proprietors, 1099 people qualify for this program as long as they prove that they can have they have paid themselves through owner's draw, or they assign themselves some payroll. If you file as a 1099 self-employed Schedule C, you will be able to qualify. So real quick, I'm going to give you a formula really quick. On your Schedule C, on line 31, all right? On line 31, that amount, it says how much money you took out. All right, that will be, you divide that, whatever amount is on line 31 on your Schedule C, divided by 12, multiply it by 2.5. Line 31, divided by 12, multiply it by 2.5, that is the amount of your loan. For example, if that line has $50,000, divided by 12 gives you 4166 times 2.5, it gives you $10,466 for the loan that you're gonna have. Now, remember, PPP is sometimes and occasionally, and all depends on the circumstances, can be forgiven. But for sure, 75% of that loan can be forgiven. So if you use it for payroll, which is yourself, so that same $50,000, okay? You take that $50,000 from line 31 or whatever number there is, divide it by 52, okay? And you divide it by 8. So those are the 8 weeks. When you divide it by 52, those are the 52 weeks of the year. Divided by 52, that's 961 times 8. That's 7692. So if you have any questions, we're here to help you. We're statewide. We're not restricted to any region. We're located in Sacramento, but we're the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. So we assist all the chambers throughout the state. We do have an affiliate program with the SBDC. We have consultants that can return your call. You can go to the website, you can register for services, and we can actually do Zoom meetings, like video chats, telephone, emails, but we can assist you. So there is money available. So very important, once again, there's money available. You should have a response within 3 to 5 days. You get an email once you apply again. Those people that apply before March 15, and they didn't get a confirmation number with the number 3 that starts with a 3. If they start with a 2, you have to apply again. All right, so make sure. Now for the state guarantee loan, make sure you talk to the bank. If you don't know which financial development corporation is out there, you need to go to ibank.ca.gov. ibank.ca.gov, and then you can find out which financial corporations are available in your area. So I apologize, I have to run. I have to go with GoBiz, the state of California, for the next update. So I apologize, I have to run. I'll give you my phone number. This is my cell number. I don't normally do this. 916-804-4362. Text me before you call. 916-804-4362, and just tell me in the text, I'm from Inland, I'm from Unico, okay? So with Sal, and I will get your text and I will try to call you as soon as possible. I apologize, I have to leave because I have to go into another webinar. Thank you guys, I appreciate the time, Sal and Unico members. all of you guys panelists. Tammy, you were great. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everything. Bye.
Thank you, Oscar. Memo, can we get the next slide? And now we'd like to introduce George Paniagua, Director of Business Development, and he's going to be speaking a little bit more on alternative lending.
All right, can you guys hear me? Great. So guys, thank you so much for hosting me and allowing me to speak. So a little bit about me. I work for a CDC. CDC stands for Certified Development Corporation, not Center for Disease Control. So don't send me your COVID questions. I am not educated in that. But when it comes to financial SBA, we represent SBA. So as a CDC, what we do is SBA doesn't have branches. They don't have, brick and mortar locations where you can go and talk to an SBA rep, right? So what they do is they go through companies such as mine, and we are their advocates to speak to the business owners in the community and to be able to go to the SBA and be an advocate for the borrower or the client, the business owner, and get money from SBA into the hands of the business. So that is what we do. And with that said, there's a lot of information out there that is, it's factually correct and then also skewed a little bit, right? So it's important to get the right information and also get it at the right time. A little bit of why I was brought onto the phone call is to talk about what is SBA doing and the future after the PPP program, okay? Because a lot of that is going to happen, right? I mean, the PPP is not going to be there forever. So what's going to happen after that? As you guys know, $310 billion, billion dollars was newly assigned to the business community. However, is that enough? No, it's not enough. And will that last forever? No, it will not last forever. And if you apply today, you go in after this call, or even just leave this call right now and go apply, is that going to guarantee you that you're going to get money? No, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get money. The reason is, even though the program is going to start as of Monday, latest Tuesday, as everybody's been saying, banks right now, especially the smaller community banks, as we speak, are taking hundreds, if not thousands, of applications as we speak. And they've been doing that since last week when that ended. So what's going on is as soon as the SBA opens up the floodgates to the $310 billion, hundreds of millions of dollars will already be spoken for by the applicants that have already applied and didn't make it through the first round of the PPP. And then applicants that are in the bank right now applying as we're on this call. So is it going to be enough? No. Is it going to guarantee everybody they're going to get that loan? No. Is it unfortunate, and do I wish that they just kind of extended it to indefinite? Yeah, I do. I wish, because we the business community needs it. But I'm a very big optimist, but I'm also a very big realist. And at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? We don't necessarily like to hear the truth, but that's the truth. They're applying right now as we speak. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen after that, right? Well, a couple things. Keep in mind, there's two programs, right? There's the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster loans, and then there's the CARES, which I believe stands for Coronavirus Aid Relief Securities Act. And CARES is the one that you go to your bank. The PPP is the one you go to your bank. Okay. The EIDL is the one that you go to the website, the SBA website, and submit your application there. So I want to touch on PPP versus EIDL. If you went and you did EIDL, that's the one that everybody's been talking about, where you went online, you submitted, and you've got, as Oscar mentioned, you've got your loan number, and if it starts with a 3, you're good. If it starts with a 2, you have to reapply. That's the EIDL program. The PPP is the one that you went and applied to with your bank, right? Now, with that said, that loan is forgivable. The PPP loan is forgivable if you met the metrics, right? So what's going to happen, and I'm already seeing this happen, is a lot of business owners are saying, well, great, it allows me to pay my employees, but business isn't coming in the door and it doesn't allow me to pay my other expenses. So what's the purpose of me getting this loan if all I'm doing is giving the money from my bank account to the employee, but then I can't pay any other expenses? I can't buy more product. I can't, pay this. I can't pay that. So what's the purpose, right? This is not enough money for us, right? They've been telling me that. So they are going to try to run on a skeleton crew and use the money to pay for other expenses, which it is allowed. You are able to do that. However, that also means that when you go to get your loan forgiven, it may not be forgiven, right? Because 75% of that has to be used for payroll. And if you didn't use that 75% for payroll, it won't be forgiven. And what's going to happen at that point? Well, what's going to happen is it's going to turn into a loan, and it's going to be a 2-year term at a 1% interest. Okay, and that's on the PPP. Now on the CARES, that one's never about being forgiven. That one's for sure a loan, and it's a 3.75% interest rate, amortized over 30 years. So the loan payment's going to be very low. But the term, that's going to be up to the SBA. Everybody may get different terms of when the actual loan becomes due. But no matter when it becomes due, it's going to be a low monthly payment because it's amortized or split up within 30 years. And again, it's 3.75%. So that's the difference between the CARES and the PPP, right? On PPP, 1%, 2-year term. On CARES, 30-year amortization, 3.75% interest rate, and the term is going to be different case by case. So what I'm doing right now is focusing on the PPP because when business owners start to realize, wow, I took out $100,000, $200,000, whatever it is, and they're not going to forgive me that loan, they're going to have 2 years to pay that back at a 1% interest. Is that feasible if your business is just barely getting back up? It's going to be hard, right? To be honest, it's going to be hard. And I can see billions of dollars of that where that's going to happen. And so just to give you a quick comparison, right? Charging 0%, right? If you were to take out $50,000 over a term of 2 years, in other words, divided over 24 months, you're paying $2,083 a month. If you took out $100,000, you're going to pay $4,166 a month. If you took out $200,000, you're paying $8,333 a month in order to pay it back in 2 years. And that's at a 0% interest. That loan comes with a 1% interest. So the payments are going to be higher than that. So what I've been talking to Sal and other lenders is trying to focus on the micro lenders that are able to do, the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $600,000 loans and provide it to the borrower and extend it for another 5, 6, or 7 years, right? If I did the same numbers at 5-year term, $50,000 loan goes from $2,083 down to $833. $100,000 loan goes from $4,166 down to $1,666. And a $200,000 loan goes from $8,333 down to $3,333. So you can see there's a massive savings just by extending that term, the amortization by longer than 2 years. And that's going to be $1 billion industry that is literally forming as we speak, right? And there is life after the PPP. We're all going to have to deal with it. And the new normal for those loans that are not getting paid or forgiven, they're not getting forgiven. The new normal is, well, now I got to have this giant payment. And that's killing me, right, as a business. So what do I do, right? And that's where I'm trying to set up relationships with the micro lenders out there that are going to be interested and able to pay that off. Now, keep in mind also, this is information that is out there. If you took out a SBA loan, you will have 6 months paid by SBA for that, right? So if you did a 7A loan or you did a 504 loan, you will have 6 months of that paid by the SBA. So they're going to pay your payment for 6 months. So it gives you some time to kind of figure out who do you need to talk to, what do you need to do. The other thing is if you did a 504 loan, which is strictly for commercial real estate, if you bought and that's what I specialize in. if you did that, there's two things that SBA is doing. Not only are they paying 6 months worth of your SBA loan, but also the CDC that you did your deal with, they can provide you a 6-month deferment. So the 6 months that SBA is paying on your behalf, that does not need to get paid back. It's already on automatic. If you've taken the loan and if you're on this call and you had a real estate deal with SBA, you'll see that, most likely your account's not being debited anymore because SBA is paying that for you. And if you're about to close an SBA loan for your building, then you'll see that you'll be put on deferment for 6 months. And it's not 6 months between now and 6 months from now. It's 6 months from when you close your loan. So you'll get the full 6 months. And so keep that in mind and remember to talk to your CDC about whether you should do the deferment first or whether you should do the SBA, payback where they're paying you. They're paying your loan on your behalf, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at now. Keep in mind that after this PPP program is over, and this is huge. I mean, this is just as big as $1 billion that they're giving, right? Keep in mind that after the PPP program is over, and you no longer have money available, the SBA is going to shut down all 7A lending. Like literally all 7A lending. And that can change between now and tomorrow, but as it is today, they have stated that they're going to shut down SBA 7A lending. So working capital loans through SBA will not be available. Equipment financing and real estate loans through the 7A program will not be available until July. It sounds like they're going to reopen it back up in July. Now, if they get more money put into the fund, and they extend that can change, what I'm saying. But for now, as of today, they are confirming they will be shutting that down for all 7A lending. So if you're considering real estate and you're just getting into it, you're going to want to consider a 504 or a conventional loan. 504 is the one that you can still do a 10% down payment. Conventional requires a minimum of 20%. So you want to consider one of the two because 7A might not be, available at the time. And then also, Unico is gracious enough to be a good source to go to as well. So if you have any questions regarding the real estate stuff, they may or may not refer you to me. They're very impartial who they refer to, right? Whatever is in your best benefit is who they're going to refer, which is great. That's what I applaud about them. But at the end of the day, if you're doing real estate, you may want to switch into a 504 or a conventional loan. And if you have a PPP and you already know you're not going to use 75% of the funds towards your payroll, again, you're going to have a 2-year term to pay that back, and you need to start really making plans on who to go to for a micro lending and refinance that out, so you can drop your payments from, in this case, 100 grand, it's 4,166 down to 1,166. It makes a big difference. So not to take any more of anybody's time, but just some information out there that I wanted to give you. If you have any information or any questions for me on both the Q&A and also the chat stuff, I just posted my information, so you can see there, George Paniagua. There's my phone number. There's my email. Feel free to take that down and give me a call direct if you have any questions. Okay, thank you so much.
If you don't mind, I'm going to keep you on just a little bit. There's a few questions we can address now.
No problem.
Thank you for all that information. Sylvia Duarte is asking, is there funding for chambers? So are they eligible for this type of loans?
Yeah, so if you're a 501c3 as a nonprofit, I believe chambers are nonprofits for the most part. I'm not sure, to be honest, but yes, if they
are 501c3 or C6.
Yeah, if it's a C6, it's not available. It's not available for C6s, unfortunately, because the difference is the C3 is they're exempt from taxes because they're only focusing on their activities. The C6 has the ability and the flexibility to get into other activities that are outside of the realm of just their business, right? And for those reasons, among others, you know, they're not eligible for the PPP, but C3s are available.
Perfect. And then we have a question from Iris Gutierrez. Is the micro loan forgivable?
Microloans are well, if it's a PPP, 75% is used for payroll. It is forgivable. The idle loan is not. That's an actual loan term dependent on the SBA, but 30-year amortization, 3.75% interest rate. Now, if you're talking about the microloan that you may want to refinance a PPP loan into, then no, that's not going to be forgivable. That will be an actual loan that you have to pay back. But the difference is, again, it's going to extend your term and drop your payment.
Thank you. And George, isn't it true that if you use 25% for rent, mortgage interest, and utilities as part of the PPP loan, that could be forgiven? Can you speak a little bit?
Yeah, that's all part of what they can constitute payroll. I mean, even if you put stuff into like you put money away for your employees' vacation or their health care or paid medical leave for like maternity or paternity or things like that, all of that, including your rents, that's all part of what is considered payroll, and that goes into the calculation of the 75% that goes towards being forgiven. So that is correct. Also, keep in mind, if you have a mortgage, if you already have a mortgage, you already have a business you own, and part of the money you're using for mortgage interest, not the payment, but the interest, that goes into the calculation.
Perfect. And lastly, Alfonso Corona has an approved loan. He wants to know if the 8-week start for the payroll from the day that the loan is approved or from the date that it's funded.
The 8-week, it goes from the dates that you're funded. Correct.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And for everybody else, please keep on doing the Q's and A's. Next, we're going to bring on Tony Martinez.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks, Carmen. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, so a quick tax update. So the IRS released some numbers regarding the economic impact payments this morning. We are looking at over 88 million payments that they sent out to Americans across the country, or those with Social Security numbers. So to receive an economic impact payment, also known as a stimulus payment, you need to have a work authorized Social Security number. So all US citizens, permanent residents, also visa holders that have work authorizations, DACA recipients, TPS recipients, you should have received or will receive soon in the form of a check, maybe if you didn't do direct deposit, but an economic impact payment, over 88 million for a total of $157 billion that have gone out, almost 158 billion that have gone out to Americans, to pockets of these individuals. Hopefully they're spending the money. Hopefully they're reviving the economy. Only time will tell. If you have an ITIN, and you don't have a social, you are not eligible for a payment. If you are a US citizen who happens to be married to somebody with an ITIN and you file married filing joint, guess what? You are also not getting any money, even though you are a US citizen. If you are a child under 17 that is an American US citizen, your country has also failed you. You are not receiving $500 that you should receive because you're an American citizen. So because if your father is or mother is an ITIN holder and you file jointly, the reason I bring this up because there's over 4 million mixed status families in this country, and over 4 million U.S. citizen children that have a parent to file with an ITIN. A lot of them have been asking us, "Where's my money?" But you're not going to get one, even if you're a citizen, if you are part of a family that has an ITIN holder. So I just wanted to bring that up. Also, some updates regarding where to get funds. If you have a retirement account, you could withdraw up to $100,000 from your IRA or 401k without incurring an early withdrawal penalty. Usually that's a 10% penalty, in addition to paying the income tax you would by withdrawing that money. You're not going to incur an early withdrawal penalty, and you're not going to incur you don't have to pay income tax on that money if you return it back into the account within 3 years. So another source of funds you may want to tap into. Also, if you have a 401k, you could take a loan from your 401k up to the total amount, 100% of the fund, or $100,000, whatever's max. But you could tap into your 401k and get a loan if you don't want to actually get money withdrawn from that. A lot of people ask, if they forgive my loan, will this money be taxable? No, that money is not going to be included in income if the PPP portion of your PPP loan that's approved for forgiveness is forgiven. So that's not going to be part of income as well. So yeah, so definitely we want to be a good resource for everyone involved. As you may know, the president about an hour ago, he signed what's the fourth legislative measure in response to the coronavirus pandemic that's going to yield more revenue for small business owners, et cetera. One final point. Earlier they brought up line 31 of the Schedule C. What that is, that's your net profit. So if you're a sole proprietor, if you file with the Schedule C, if you have no employees, what the banks want to see when they do the PPP calculation is what is your profit? Right? After expenses, after cost of goods sold, what is your profit for the year? So if your profit was, $60,000, they're going to divide that by 12. They're going to multiply it by 2.5, and that's going to be your loan. So I know a lot of people will say, well, I know that's my profit, but I make more than that. Why can't I get more money? Because on paper, that's what you reported, and that's your profit and loss. So just be aware of that. Any questions? Let me know.
So Tony, we have a question from Kathy. She says that her husband is Canadian. They pay U.S. taxes. They've been paying forever. And she's asking, will they not receive a check? It's I'm assuming that the husband is not a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, great question, Kathy. So it all has to do with residency. So a good note for everybody, you technically could be a resident of the U.S. for tax purposes, even if you're not a resident for immigration purposes, right? So it's something called the substantial presence test if you're here over 6 months out of the year, et cetera. But in your case, my question to you, Kathy, is do both of you have a work eligible Social Security number, or how do you file taxes? Because if you both, she said yes. Okay, so if both of you file taxes with the work eligible Social Security number, you should get your stimulus economic impact payment. Now the IRS has a great portal where you could log in and you could kind of see where that money is at, and you could be able to get that status. IRS did make a note that even though most payments